Knowledge has to be improved, challenged, and increased constantly, or it vanishes. Peter Drucker. A good evening to one and all gathered here for the virtual 7-day faculty development program on econometrics for time series analysis, organized by Department of Economics in association with Research Center of Commerce, Kristu Jayanti College, Bengaluru. It is indeed a great privilege and honor to welcome you all in this auspicious occasion. First and foremost, I would like to welcome our principal, Reverend Father Dr. Augustine Judge, a strong and thoughtful leader and a constant supporter of all our initiatives. I am immensely pleased to welcome you, Father. Our warm welcome also goes to the resource person, Dr. Justin Nelson Michael. Sir has done his PhD in finance and currently the director, Center for Research, Kristu Jayanti College, Autonomous. He is specialized in the area of international financial management, research methodology, accounting, and finance. He has a rich experience in data analysis for social science research using SPSS, eViews, and the use and application of Gretel. It is an honor to have you as our resource person, sir. I would also like to welcome Dr. Jyoti Manoj. Ma'am holds a PhD in statistics with a specialization in econometrics. She is a passionate statistician and data analyst. Ma'am has conducted more than 20 hands-on workshops on data analysis using MS Excel, SPSS, and R software, and 6 workshops on applied econometrics using eViews Gretel software. We welcome you, ma'am. I take this opportunity to welcome all our participants who have come from different colleges with great enthusiasm. I also welcome Professor Madhumalati, Coordinator, Department of Commerce, PG, and the faculty members and students of Economics and Commerce for this 7 days faculty development program. The 7-day FDP is organized with the objective of equipping researchers and academicians with the technique of econometrics for time series analysis using Gretel. I hope that the 7-day FDP would provide more inputs on the area of application of econometrics in research. I, on behalf of Department of Economics, wish all the participants an enriching experience. Now I request Dr. Jyoti Manoj to take over the session. Ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Respected dignitaries, head of the department, and faculty members of economics, Dr. Nelson. First of all, I'm very happy that Department of Economics and Research Center has given us an opportunity to conduct this kind of a workshop, and I'm happy to be a part of the workshop too. So the workshop, basically we have planned this time only to focus on time series econometrics and not going in depth into all levels of econometrics. So our target participants, as you all are aware, starts from research scholars or even PG students to experienced teachers and academicians and researchers. So we will be starting from the base, a quick glance of what all we would be taking up, what all we would be proceeding with. So in this national level econometrics time series econometrics workshop, we would be progressing right from the scratch of what it is. And today we both, me and Nelson sir, Dr. Nelson and myself, will be handling the session together. In the sense, first half will be just an introduction of whatever concepts we'll be covering in the upcoming 7 sessions. And then we will also introduce the software Gretel by installing the Gretel and initiating the work. Okay, so that is a plan. And just to have a glimpse of the entire 7 days or the 7 sessions, basically econometrics, as we all know, is the measurement part of economics. Whenever we need to measure or when we need to assess certain aspects of economics, we need to have numbers involved, and using those numbers, how do we measure or how do we prove or disprove theories is what is all about econometrics. It is used in all empirical analysis related to economics and finance. It is concerned with the empirical determination of economic law, and unless we incorporate econometrics into the analysis part, economics might remain just as a theory. There are plenty of theories. So each time when we involve a theory, when we take up a theory, how do we prove or disprove in a specific context or in the changed era whether the theory still prevails? To consider all such phenomenon, we need to have an empirical analysis. By empirical analysis, we all know that we depend on sample or a set of values, set of data, which will be relevant for that particular scenario or time. Now, the basic definition, there are plenty of definitions as all of us know. One of the definitions would be, it consists of application of mathematical statistics to economic data to lend empirical support to the models constructed by mathematical economics to obtain numerical results. That is why the name empirical is keeping on coming. Whenever we want a numerical result, we will have to proceed with it. So as we all know, it is an amalgamation. The subject or the course econometrics is an amalgamation of 4 different disciplines: economics with statistics and mathematics, equipped with computers. Only with the software we can perform econometric analysis in a smooth manner. Otherwise, it is very hectic. It is not like just performing some small data analysis. Econometric data usually will be huge in volume, and the amount of computation involved is also considerably higher. Hence, support of a software will make our life very easy if we know the theory part. That is why I said that it's an amalgamation of the 4. Now, the scope of econometrics, if we check, it's vast. It's very vast, as we saw in the previous slide. Determination of various economic law. Then it gives empirical support to the models constructed by mathematical economics to obtain numerical results. It helps in application of mathematical statistics to economic data. A few examples which we can apply in simple projects or just for the sake of studying are like predict personal finance consumption expenditure in relation to GDP. Using correlation and regression, we can do that. That doesn't come under time series, but however, it is also considered as a part of econometrics only. Then whether to approve a credit card of an applicant. As we know, it goes with logit model many a times. Then long run relation between stock price and oil price, if you want to see whether there is a long run tendency for them to be together or to be parting with, or predict the price of gold in the next few months based on past price, or impact of volatility of US dollar exchange rate on price of petrol. So all these kinds of simple concepts we can start with as we start learning. Furthermore, there are plenty of examples or papers or research projects that you can find which are highly related to econometric analysis, like forecasting macroeconomic indicators, estimating the impact of immigration on native workers, identifying the factors that affect a firm's entry and exit into market, finding relationship between management techniques and worker productivity, etc. These are all simple examples. Basically, when we look at econometrics, the type of data or just a moment, I think my slide is shown. Yeah, this would be better. I believe this bar isn't seen. Yeah. Okay. So basically, when we look at econometrics, there are 3 types of data which are used for the analysis. One is time series data. Second one is cross-sectional data, and third is panel data. So time series data, as we all know, that data that is collected over regular intervals of time on a periodic manner, not random, at periodic intervals. When we collect data systematically for a single variable, we call it time series. So what is cross-sectional data? Most of the surveys that we conduct are cross-sectional data. The data that we collect through various surveys, the data that is collected at one point of time. If we consider time as a line that grows, at one particular time point, that is why the name cross section has come. At one particular time point, we collect the data. and we are not bothered about what is that time period. Rather, we are more involved into other aspects of the data. That is where cross-sectional data is helpful. Panel data is a combination of time series and cross-sectional data. Panel data is when more than one variable is repeatedly collected or observed over a period of time. We call it as panel data. So panel data is a combination in the sense there are plenty of variables and they are all collected repeatedly at regular intervals of time. Progressing, our focus would definitely, because these three aspects have to be separately considered. You can't combine everything, and then you can't use interchangeably the tools which we can use for say cross-sectional data analysis. We can't directly use it here for time series. There are certain assumptions which will get violated when we use a time series data for certain kind of analysis. That is why it is considered as separate wings. Time series is a separate. If you look at panel data econometrics is totally different. It is linked with time series, but that is separate analysis. And cross-sectional has got another set of analysis. So time series, as we know, most of the time, the data that we get in financial and economic scenarios are time series. They are generally not experimental data, they are observational data. And almost every time they are secondary data, because 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, we cannot be observing and then collecting data. We will be taking the help of some resource, some authentic resource who can provide us the data, like Reserve Bank or World Bank data, or certain libraries which will give us authentic data. Using those library, we will be taking up secondary data for the analysis. A few examples of time series data are gross domestic product, consumer price index, S&P index, unemployment rate, commercial transactions, employee data like salary, performance, etc., which is being collected over various months or years together. Then birth rate, population, migration data, etc., and other indicators of a state or of a country. All these falls under time series data, and we know that none of these variables are coming as a part of an analysis. They are happening. These are all values that happen time to time. These are all quantities or numbers that just happen, and we are just observing and collecting the data. So they are all observational data, they are non-experimental data, and they belong to the secondary data set. Now, our workshop would be comprising of all these topics. Stationarity of time series, which is very essential, which is the most important part of any time series analysis. Whenever we perform a time series analysis, we are supposed to confirm that the time series is stationary. Then comes co-integration analysis and causal analysis, followed up with error correction model, causality, co-integration, error correction, and causality. Then, when there is stationarity in the series, we can think of forecasting using autoregressive models for forecasting various values of the time series. It can be ARIMA or ARMA model. And then we have seasonal. When there is seasonality influencing the time series, we can incorporate seasonal autoregressive models in it. Then comes vector autoregressive models. Instead of a single time series, if you are combining more than one time series, we can incorporate vector autoregressive model instead of seasonal autoregressive model. Then, and also we would be proceeding to various volatility models. Volatility models would capture variation of the data, which will help us the risk involved. So various volatility models, they are generalized and the normal volatility models of conditional heteroscedasticity models is what we call them. This is the agenda for the workshop. So over the 7 days, we would be taking up one by one the concepts, or maybe sometimes we can combine two of it, like 4 and 5 can be combined together. Likewise, we might be able to combine further. Okay. So proceeding. Firstly, I'll just give quickly a glance on why stationarity, because it is a part of any analysis. we cannot say that I checked stationarity, so that is a great effort or a result. It is mandatory that you need to check stationarity of a time series. So let's first see what is stationarity and why is it so important for a time series. Stationarity is a precondition for a time series modeling for forecasting. Whenever you need to use a time series for any analysis, first step is check its stationarity, confirm that you have a stationary data, or else try to convert or transform the series in such a manner that you get it. You can bring in stationarity into the transformed series. So basic definition, few of you might feel it is a little mathematical in nature. The definition of it is that in a weak sense stationarity is the parameters of this time series should not vary with time. The three parameters, mean, variance and covariance, should not be varying with time. A little more if I can explain it, it would be like mean. If a mean of a time series varies, either the time series will tend to grow, as you can see on the right graph, the red line graph, the time series might tend to grow because its mean is keeping on increasing, like the usage of various e-commerce platforms since pandemic. If you check, it is definitely on an increasing trend, but there are certain other concepts which might not increase that very fast. So its mean seems to be in the left graph, that the green one, you can see that if you check the average of these points, on the x-axis we have time, and the series when you plot, if you consider the mean of this data at any interval, just split this data into 3 or 4 intervals, the green graph, you will see that the average will be more or less at the same point. It wouldn't have increased or decreased much. So this is what we call as mean is not time dependent, it is constant. In the second, where you find a non-stationary graph, you can see that the mean is tending to increase. Now the second point that we need to check, or second constraint or condition for stationarity, is a constant variance. Variance of the left series, of the left graph, if you check, you can see that the ups and downs in the series, or the width within which it ranges, seems to be constant. The variation or the width within which the series is tending to change, one moment, yeah, the series is tending to change, remains the same in the first graph, whereas in the second graph you will see at the first half very small variance. In the second block you can see the wave has got a larger growth, and again the third part of the graph you can see that it is even more wider. This is where we call variance at the first interval is comparatively smaller than second interval. Third interval is quite larger than the first and second interval. Okay, so if you consider this time series into different parts, say episodes of the time, what happens? Variance will be differing throughout. Okay, so the constant variance is compulsory for us to take the time series for further analysis. The variance of the series should not be a function of time. That property is called homoskedasticity. And when this is violated is what we will be learning at the end as heteroskedastic models. When the time series variation keeps on changing, we would like to capture that variation. That is where we use heteroskedasticity models. Then proceeding further, the last one was covariance. Covariance can be related to what we have learned as correlation. It is more or less the same. Only thing, formula slightly varies. It is a standardized version. Correlation is a standardized version of covariance. So with covariance also we can check. Now a time point and another time point, the relation between, say for example, the relation between this Monday's closing price of BSE index should be might be related to yesterday, or say past Monday, because it is a week starting. So it might be related to last Monday. Whatever be the correlation between this Monday to last Monday should be the same as that of Tuesday to last Tuesday. The time gap of 7 days should be maintained and the correlation should be remaining the same throughout. It should not vary. It shouldn't be a factor of the time. Like generally what happens, Monday there may be a different attitude or say performance, and Wednesdays it may be, or else if you look at the various sales in mall, there will not be stationarity, because every weekend it will be having a different performance, other days it will be having a different performance. So we will not find constant covariance throughout. Day wise it will vary. It is dependent on the day. That should not happen. So I hope I explained the definition now better, that its statistical properties should not vary with time. Mean, variance, and correlation should not be varying with time, rather it should be constant. So we will be learning using various tests how we can check whether a data is stationary or not, whether a time series is stationary or not. If we find the time series is not stationary, but we would like to continue with the same study, we are not going to just leave the series thinking that no, the series is not stationary. We can make some mathematical transformation on it and make it stationary. Okay. Now, why is stationarity so very important? Because stationarity is considered important, since if there is no stationarity, each episode of the time series will behave independently. They will have their own features, and you can't generalize any of the attributes of this time series for other time periods. You will not be able to generalize the features of the time series for other or for future. This is why we insist on the first condition, that time series has to be stationary. And if it is not stationary, first we need to stationarize the data. We have to obtain stationarity for the data by either differencing or detrending or taking logarithm or making some transformation in the data. We can attain stationarity in the series. Okay. Yeah, so this is what we just said, unless it is that we saw. And non-stationary series and stationary series, one of the ways in which we can identify is easily is by referring to the graph itself. To a great extent, we can understand whether there is stationarity. In this graph, if you check, one or two series can be considered as stationary. Say, basically, the one over the x-axis can be considered stationary because it is constant over there. All others are showing one or the other trend, or they are also showing the various variations in its movement. So a pictogram or say a line graph itself is an indication of stationarity of a time series, but we will not go with our intuitions. We will be learning in depth how to perform various tests of stationarity. So we shall go with it. The second concept that we have to, or the basic concept that we have to learn, that we will be going through, that we'll be working on, is cointegration. So cointegration helps us in obtaining, to establish if there is a long-term correlation between two time series. Different parts of a time series, say for example, if you look at these two time series, they both are tending to increase together, but over a very long period of time, is this correlation sustaining? That is what we will see in cointegration. So in cointegration, the benefit is that we can actually help we can actually utilize the non-stationarity of a series. Okay? If you refer to cointegration alone, now basically this workshop is conducted with the motive of inculcating or help proceeding with writing a paper, writing a project, or getting the data analysis for our projects, right? So that is why I thought for every concept that we discuss, if I can at least show you a few papers so that we can feel what is the importance of that concept. Co-integration alone generally doesn't consist of a complete paper or project. It's a part of the analysis. Still, little older papers, these both are, they have conducted, and you can see that they are Elsevier papers, so they are really good quality papers. Co-integration test as a in the present value relationship. So that's a different approach for stock prices and dividends, whether there's a co-integration over there. Or it can be co-integration test of a long run relation between trade balance and the terms of trade in 16 countries. So various countries and their trade balance and the terms of trade are considered for the analysis. And using co-integration of each of the countries, all the 16, analysis is carried out to find whether there is a long-term tendency to be staying together. Okay. And there are plenty of similar papers. These are much more recent papers which have involved co-integration. So I hope you're convinced why we need to start with co-integration. Okay, because it is very easy tool which we can quickly adopt. These are two very recent, not that very recent, 2001 and 2010 papers, which we can always use for as a reference also. Fine. Then proceeding further, once we have done with co-integration, we will also see the error correction model. If there is co-integration, we can proceed to further modeling that relation and also find what is there any causal relation between two or more series, whether one series causes other. So causality is another concept which is very widely used to know whether two time series cause each other, because correlation and causality are totally different concepts. When we say there is correlation, it is not necessary that there's a causal relation in it. Cause may be an external factor. It can be totally an external factor that is a cause. But two series might be like, for example, if you look at price of petrol or fuel and gold price, both might be having a tendency to move in together, maybe increase or decrease. Or if you look at investment in gold and investment in stock market, they might be negatively correlated. So what? But then it is actually an external factor that is causing both of it. It could be US dollar price exchange rate that is causing the variation in both. So thereby, correlation never indicates causal relation. Causal relation is separately to be considered, and whether a variable causes another variable is in itself a concept that is to be researched. So I've just shown that it is not only for financial data, it can also be used for social sciences. The causal and the research related to causal analysis can be used even in other scenarios, not necessarily in financial or economic data. The third concept, most important one, would be autoregressive models. Once co-integration and causality is done, that is one aspect. When they do not work, we can progress with autoregressive modeling of the data. So why we do this is it is similar to our regression. It is very similar to regression, where we are trying to predict a series, where we are trying to predict the future values of a series. So when we go ahead with this kind of a prediction, when we try to go ahead with this kind of a prediction, that as the name suggests, it is auto-regressive model. So the name auto itself says that it is regression with its own past values. Okay, we know that regression, we use various variables as a combination to predict a dependent variable. But in auto-regression, a variable's its own lag value is used for its prediction. So that is why the name auto-regressive. So obviously, before auto-regressive modeling, we need to check for autocorrelation, its strength, and then we will decide on how to progress. Okay. So using auto-regressive models, there are plenty of papers that are available. These are all, one is quite old, the first one, 98, forecasting Irish inflation using ARIMA is a little old paper. But the rest of it are recent papers, and that too very good papers. One is an IEEE transactions journal. One is a Springer journal, and another one is Elsevier journal. So you can see that they are 2014 paper, workload prediction using ARIMA model and its impact on cloud application. Then improving forecasting accuracy of annual runoff time series using ARIMA based on EEMD decomposition. So that depends on our domain of study, where we are analyzing, what we are analyzing. But how to perform the analysis is what will be the focus of the workshop. Or drought forecasting based on remote sensing data using ARIMA model. Next step of ARIMA would be if we also find a seasonal component in our time series, then we can always go with a seasonal ARIMA instead of just going with ARIMA modeling. So it is called seasonal ARIMA, or at times it is called S-ARIMA model. S-ARIMA model, though we don't call it like that, we call it seasonal ARIMA model. As an example, see, you can see that this is also it's a Taylor and Francis paper. It's a very good paper, seasonal ARIMA model for tourism forecasting, that of the case study of Taiwan, I think. And then forecasting cargo throughput with the modified seasonal ARIMA model. So this is a little modification in the existing estimation value. Okay? So that is about seasonal ARIMA model. And so once you confirm with stationarity, or before we confirm stationarity itself, we'll be able to see that there is a pattern, there is a recurring pattern in the time series. And that pattern, when it is persistent within a year, we need to identify that there is seasonality that is influencing the series. by observing the series to an extent, we will be able to understand, or else by decomposing the data also, we can understand whether there is seasonality in the series. If you can recall, what we have learned in our graduation is that a time series consists of 4 components: trend, seasonality, cyclical, and irregular variation. Trend we can easily extract from the series using simple techniques, but seasonality, it's a little task to decompose and take seasonality. We need to remove the seasonality from the series and then check whether it is significant. So if we find there is significant seasonality, then we can model that also. So this is an extension of ARIMA model. Proceeding further, the next concept that we will be going with, that would be the last concept probably. If time permits, we can go with, VAR model is also there. Vector autoregressive, as I said, for ARIMA model. Instead of a single series, ARIMA model. If you have many series and if you want to combine them and then check for their autoregressive patterns, we can use vector autoregressive models. And finally, we have volatility modeling. So volatility or risk in any of the financial transactions or financial investments, that's a very common term. It is a variance of a stochastic process. The term stochastic may be new to many of you. Stochastic just means time dependent random variable. So when we are referring to, say, the closing price of index, that is a time dependent variable. It's a variable that keeps on changing every day and we can record it time wise. So a time dependent random variable is called a random process, is called stochastic process, and its variance is called volatility. So many a times volatility clustering is something that catches our interest. Many a times we would be interested to know what is the clustering of this volatility. So volatility clustering means clustering of large moves or small moves together. That means when there are huge variation in the data, it will be followed by similar variations for some time. Then once it settles, you will find the settled mode prolonging for certain period of time. Again, when there is a huge volatility, that volatility will be again followed by similar changes. So that is why large changes in price of an asset are often followed by other large changes. So this, how do we, so if you already found that there is a volatility, we can always expect the next day or the next movement of the time series and accordingly plan. So that is where volatility helps. In fact, volatility models have more value or more information to provide than ARIMA models. Okay. So these are the concepts, and if you refer to papers with respect to volatility models of ARCH or GARCH, there are so many of them. Plenty of extremely good quality papers you will be available in net for us to refer and try to understand how we can implement it. Okay. So these are the concepts that we would be dealing with in the upcoming sessions. So if Nelson sir, can we start with the practicals?
Any questions are there, we can ask.
Yes, sir. Oh my God.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if there is any point that you, if any of the participants would like to discuss, we can do that. Otherwise, we can start with the practicals, because all these concepts, when we work with some or the other data, it would convey more meaning and understanding is what we feel. So as such, there aren't any chats also.
I think even we can't ask any poll questions that is not enabled. Otherwise, we can check how people are following, because we find a lot of students are there.
Okay, okay, yes, sir. Fine. So probably we can.
Ma'am, there is a question.
Do we have to use no stationarity data for co-integration? Yes, we are using. We need to check, ma'am. That was, I think, Professor Yunus Ahmed has asked whether we need to use stationary data for co-integration analysis. It incorporates the concept of stationarity. So we will have to do stationarity tests there. But the definition of co-integration slightly varies. The data as such need not be stationary. We can go with non-stationary. Do we have to use non-stationary? Generally, yes, sir. Generally, that is how the bifurcation goes. If you have what do you say, stationary data, then we can progress with forecasting it. ARIMA modeling or all that we can progress. So when there is non-stationarity is where we generally use co-integration analysis and error correction, vector error correction models, etc. That will help us also to model. So only thing, we will have more than one series in it, and we are learning that together the pattern. Yeah. Yes, and then someone has said that if the data is in it's not stationary, we will show you, ma'am, Professor Ebenezer. We will be going ahead with working on, what do you say, how to convert it into stationarity, how we can achieve stationarity. As we progress with the problem, we will side by side explain the theory and proceed. So that might give better insights. Agricultural commodities or daily price forecasting, generally they are ARIMA, ARCH models, and we may also use co-integration analysis if we have more than one series. Basically, co-integration is used when we have more than one series to see whether there is any, the kind of correlation between them. When we have, say, for example, price and demand of vegetables that are coming to a market. So we want to know in the wholesale market whether there is a co-integration, or say whether two different wholesale markets are there, whether there is a demand difference altogether, or whether when there is more demand in one market, is it reflected in the other market as well, whether they both go dull at the same time or not. So if you want to have that kind of, if there is such an objective, generally we proceed to co-integration first. Proceed with it. It is not compulsory for all models. It is not compulsory to run co-integration. If you have a single time series, we cannot even perform co-integration. We will be only going with how to check whether it is stationarity. If not stationarity, make it stationary, and then proceed with its own forecasting models, its own analysis. How can we check with different models? In the sense, our objective will cater to only certain models, or the models will cater to only certain objective. You can't blindly use any model for any analysis. We will have certain study objective. Accordingly, we will be using the model, appropriate model. Co-integration cannot be as such used for forecasting. No, we generally don't use. We can use it for an integrated forecasting. More than explaining it for forecasting, it is used to understand the behavior of two time series and how one can help the other to come back to normal or equilibrium. There are a lot of questions, in fact. Nice. What are the limitations of these models? As such, there are no limitations, sir. It is one aspect, or for the objective of understanding, long run equilibrium, we use co-integration. As such, there isn't any drawback or limitation for it, sir.
And there's a question on fixing the model.
Model, yeah, that is what. So once we fix the objective, accordingly the model would be there, right, sir? Once we have the study objective, I think.
There's something on ARIMA and VAR.
VAR model. It depends on whether for univariate data. Vector autoregressive, generally we use it when we have more variables. Univariate data, ARIMA would be sufficient. And when we have a group of series, we are analyzing all of it, we go for vector autoregressive. So probably in the upcoming days, it would be interesting, I think, because many of them have idea in their mind and then they are progressing. So we expect it to be fruitful. So I think now if we start with the practical and get into the software, and side by side, if we come up with the doubts and queries, it might be more beneficial. How about it, sir? Generally, forecasting, we go with ARIMA modeling. Yes, sir, Nitish, sir. Generally, for a single univariate, and also we check for volatility. those two are the main for forecasting, that those two are the models, like how we use regression or how we use correlation. In the same manner, we go with autoregressive modeling. But there are a lot of variants in it itself. There are a lot of variants in the ARIMA itself and GARS also, or ARS. There are so many variations which are to be used, which are to be taken care of when we perform. That is there. Apart from that, these are the most common or the most basic analysis. Yeah, sure. Yes, sir. We are starting with it. Finally, we have reached the software. Thank you, sir. Nelson, sir, over to you. Thank you so much.
So good evening, friends. So it's a great joy for us to have this workshop, and it's the first time that we are having it online. We always had it offline, and we know whom we are talking to and what is happening. So it's a little bit difficult for us to really understand whether what you're saying is reaching you, how far we are able to reach your level and all that. As usual, I want to start with a disclaimer. I found that there are a lot of students in this forum, and some research scholars are there, and you have some professors also. So I just want to tell everybody I'm an odd man out because I'm not a statistician. I'm not an econometrician as well. I only love the subject because I want to use these tools for research. So my awareness about econometrics is not so in depth. So please don't ask too many technical questions pertaining to econometrics. But I'm very happy because we have econometricians on the board, and they will be able to clarify. Okay, so I will be talking from a very, very layman's perspective. So it would be very simple. And so as I start off the sessions, I would assume that you don't know anything. And then, so as if I'm teaching a batch of UG students, so I would start at that level and then proceed further. So I want it to be understood by everyone, so including those who are just beginning with econometrics. Okay, so that's how I have learned, and that's the way I will also be translating what I have studied. So with that, we will start with the we'll start with the software. So today we'll just get hands-on on how to use different menus, and then slowly we move into all the topics which ma'am had laid out. If any theory is there, I will just share some material based on that. So first, I'm going to share the link for the software. Okay, so here you find a link in the chat. So you can copy that and paste it on your Google, or you can just see if the link is working. So please click on that, and then you will get the download screen from SourceForge, and you can download it. It is not a big software, it's a very small one. So please do that. So you have to install it. Okay, so I want some thumbs up. So once it'll take a few minutes. So when you are, I hope all of you are trying to download it. So everybody, including all the students, so please download this software. So if you've not yet done it, it is you do it now. So it's very easy. So don't worry about it. So you'll have to allow the software to make changes in your system. So you just download it and install it. Well, so some of you might be wondering why at all we should use Gretel. So recently we found even the director of AICTE encouraging. So if you, the moment you go into NPTEL courses or you go to IIT FOSS, free and open source software, there is a lot of encouragement to use open source software. So it is not something that is very cheap. It doesn't mean it is cheap. It means that it is you can use it without a license. So everybody, it is open to all. Of course, it is free. So the word free here, it means that it is open for everybody. Anybody can use. And also, you can also contribute in terms of programming. So if you find that Gretel keeps updating itself, so it is that is the main reason why we feel that it will be very, very helpful. So you need not worry about license, you need not worry about paying for it. then it is a very good software and a very easy software. Only drawback is sometimes you may not find it having an attractive layout. Okay, so it is not very attractive. So that's the only problem with Gretel. Other than that, it is a wonderful software, and you can try using it. Now, those of you who are using econometric software for the first time, it will be very helpful. And then once you master one software, you can go to the next, because this will help you to understand the concepts, and then it will be. Can you share? I don't have your WhatsApp group. Can any of the faculty members help with that to the students? I don't know whether Gretel will work in your mobile phone if that is what you're trying to do. I don't know. Okay, so the faculty members would help you with that. Now, can I have a thumbs up whether all of you have downloaded the software? I'm putting another link. So after you install Gretel, you have to add some data. Okay, so okay, it's downloading. Now I've put another link. The second link, I'll have to share the screen, and then I will have to show what is to be done. So I'm going to share the screen. Okay, so the second link is for data. So Gretel has a certain databases already existing, and for today's sessions and also for tomorrow and day after, we'll be taking data from some of the textbooks. So it is easy for you when you are referring to those textbooks in econometrics. And I think some of our favorite textbooks data is there. So one of the textbooks which everybody recommends is that by Professor Gujarati. So we'll be taking data from that. So once you click on the link that I have sent to you, so it is having the data set, and you will come across this particular website. You'll come across this website, Data for Gretel. You will come across this website called Data for Gretel. All of you have come to this website. So as I said, I would like to go, yes. So everybody has come there. So first you have to download Gretel, and then you will have to come to, okay, now you please scroll down, you go to that thing, please scroll down. You find all the textbooks which are there in econometrics. So this is the beauty of Gretel. They have integrated all the data sets. So whatever textbooks you're going to use, okay, so whatever books you're going to use, whether it is Green or whether it is Ramu Ramanathan, or Hill, so whichever books that you're using, the data sets used in the books are available here. You just have to add it as an exe file. It will be attached automatically to your Gretel software. Okay, so that is what is there. So as I said, we'll not go into everything. So we're going to add Gujarati. So you see Damodar Gujarati, the textbook is basic econometrics. So those students who are beginning to learn econometrics, you will love this book because it is very simple language and very easy. It's like a layperson can really understand econometrics. So if you're starting with that, of course, it's a bit lengthy. It's a huge book, but then it is very nicely presented and it is easily understandable. So whatever exercises you have there, you can use it on Gretel. Okay, so yeah, right. So please go to that link, and are you able to see the cursor here? Gujarati data exe. So you'll have to click on that. Gujarati _ data exe. Please click on that. Gujarati, the cursor which I'm moving on the screen. So please go to that and click on that. Gujarati _ data.exe. Gujarati _ data.exe. Okay, so once you click on that, again it will ask you to download. Okay, so I have already done that, so I'm not going to continue. So you just have to download that. So same SourceForge will ask you to download, and then you give the install. It will automatically add with the Gretel software. Am I clear? Am I clear? So you'll have to download Gujarati _ data.exe from the particular link that I sent. Jahir sir, there is a request for recording. Richa ma'am, I'm not very sure whether it is applicable to Mac. Yes, you'll find it in the SourceForge. Different options are given. So Windows is there, Mac is there. So whatever software that you're going to use, so whatever laptop, whatever system you're using, you'll have to check it over there. So that availability is there. You can check it. Okay, all of you have done that? Yes. For data, ma'am, you'll have to please check that once again. My screen, I mean, the web page is gone, so I'm not able to locate that. So otherwise, I'll check it up. So Richa ma'am, you can just scroll down. I think those options are definitely available. The earlier versions were not there, but now everything is made available. Otherwise, the data set, you can download the Excel form of it, and then you can work on it. Okay, now I'm going to share one more file. Yeah, so please click on the icon of Gretel. Please click on the icon of Gretel. Are you able to see the Gretel window? So now we're going to start with that. So please click, just double click on the Gretel. You have a very simple window that is displayed. So I'll enlarge it so all can see. So this will be your Gretel window. Fine. So all of you have got the Gretel window in front of you. Yes. Everybody's got the Gretel window in front of you. Okay. So it's a very, very simple window. As I said, it does not have a beautiful appearance. Okay, it's a very simple window. So we're just going to see, we are going to start off with, so what we've done now is you have installed Gretel and then you have added the data. Okay, so now we're going to see how to open a file. So first, there are two, so you go to File, and then Open Data. So you have two types of files, File, Open Data, and then you have two types of files. One is user file and the other one is sample file. So sample file consists of the files which are already there. So since I've not shared the file, we'll use the sample file. So sample file, please click on sample file. Please click on sample file and you get the existing database from different books. First one is Gretel. Okay, Gretel has got a set of data already there. So that keeps adding up over the years. Then you have from the book Green. And I hope all of you have got Gujarati. Gujarati would not have been there. So you should have added it. If you had installed it, Gujarati will appear. So the second one set of data are right from the book by Green. Okay, and the third set of data are from Gujarati. And the last set of data is from the book by Dr. Ramu Ramanathan. So you have the set of data. So you have Gujarati as well. So I hope all of you have got that. Okay. So you all have seen that. So file, file, open data, and sample file. So please click on the first one, that is personal consumption and GDP US annual. So go to Gujarati. So we'll be using alternatively different things. So personal consumption and GDP US annual. So please click on that. Just double click on it. Okay. So what did we do? File, open data, sample file. In that we went to Gujarati and then we took table 1.1. You just double clicked it and then you got the data. So this is the simplest way. So this is just for practice. So in case you are studying from Gujarati, you can select this any of the files, whichever chapter you're studying, whichever topic you're studying, you can go to it. Okay. So once the file share option comes, I'll tell you how to import an Excel file. So if you are importing an Excel file, what we have to do is file, open data, user file, file, open data, user file. Okay, so in case you have any Excel file on your system, you could try that. So user file, then what you have to do is wherever you have stored your Excel files. So any kind of data that you are collecting, secondary data, you can like whatever is the format. So you notice that g.gdt is the Gretel data files. So Gretel data files, and it is able to accept anything, even SPSS files, SAS files, Excel files, okay, anything. So it supports all of that. So you have a huge list over there. So whatever file you want to open, you just put all files so that it will be able to open all files. Okay. So this is in case you are importing a file. So importing a file option is available in file, open data, user file. So we'll be using that in the coming session. So don't worry about it. User file. All you have to do is in the type of file given at the bottom, you'll have to select all files. Okay. So anyway, we'll use it in the next exercise. So no problem. Okay. Now, what are we going to do now is visualization of the data visualization. Can I have a feedback whether you're with me? Can I move forward? Okay, I hope all of you are working on it. Unless you work on it, because this FDP is fully hands-on, and since you're not in a lab, you have to be very responsive. Can you please repeat the last bit? I appreciate you, Ms. Harini. I really appreciate you, because you have to keep up with me. Otherwise, it'll be difficult. Okay. So what I said is, you can now some of the exercises. So the screen in front of you will have the Excel data, the Excel window. So I'm sorry. Yeah, please share the screen. Okay. So you have the Gretel window. You'll have the Gretel window. So first we're going to see is how to open a file. Okay. That's what you're doing now. Opening a file, open data, sample file. Okay. That is to open files which are there in the database. So that is, we have opened in Gujarati, you have opened table 1.1. Okay. That is what we have opened. All of you have done that. Now, we'll move towards data visualization. Okay. So all you have to do is select any. So you know that this is nothing but GDP and personal consumption expenditure. You want to see how the data looks like. So you select the variable, okay, and click on it, right click on it, and select display values. Select the variable, right click on it, you will get a drop down box, and then you select display values. You go to the variable, left click on it, then again do a right click, you will get this drop down list. Select display values. Okay, select display values. So right click, display values. Or you can go to data, and then display values. You can go to data, and then you have display values option. You can go to data, and then you have display values option. Okay. You can go to data and then display values option. Okay, done. Right. So how can you check what the files are? Now, suppose you want to see display values for both the variables. You select one and then drag. Okay. Left click, drag. Left click and drag. Then once again, right click. You can select both by clicking on one and then dragging. Display values. Right click, display values. Is that fine? Okay, right click and then display values. So that is to display values of more than one variable. So so in time series, you might have different series. So people are asking about co-integration and all that. So there you'll have two series. So you want to see what is the how the data looks. Okay, right. Next, we're going to see how to edit attributes. So we saw how to visualize the data. Now we're going to see how to edit attributes. So editing attribute is very simple. So what you have to do is select the variable, select the variable, okay, right? So two ways. So Gretel gives you a lot of options. The easiest option is right click, okay. So select the variable, right click, and then you find edit attributes. Right click, and then you find edit attributes. Select the variable, right click, and then you find edit attributes, right? So I'm going to select it. So what we're going to do, it's already, since it's a data already given there. Suppose you have imported data from Excel file, you'll have to give the description. So this is how the description will appear on the table. And suppose you want to have a display for the graph. You want to show it on the graph. You can say, how do you want to show it on the graph? Okay, so I'm just going to put it as consumption expenditure. So you can or leave it as it is. It will just be displayed how you want it. Okay, so this is how you edit the attributes. That is to say the description. So I'm going to edit even the next one. So right click, select the variable using a left click, then right click, then edit attributes. Okay, so this is going to be GDP. This is going to be GDP. So there is a huge description there. In case you reduce it, so that description we gave is how it should appear in the graphs. Okay, right? Fine. Now, after that, are you with me? So what we've seen is editing attributes. Okay. So editing attributes is very, very important because you will have to make sure that the titles that appear in the tables and in the graphs are as you want them. Now, one thing I did not mention is the option of tools, because you find that on my screen that the font is Times New Roman. Am I right? But in your Gretel, it will not be Times New Roman. So how do you change it? Very simple. You go to tools, okay, go to tools, and then preferences, go to tools, preferences, tools, preferences, menu font, tools, preferences, menu font, tools, preferences, menu font, okay? Tools, preferences, menu font. This is to change the font. Why are we changing it to Times New Roman? Students are there. I think all the officially recognized research font is Times New Roman. And so I think you'll be going with Times New Roman. So you can use Times New Roman. The default font, something else is there. So we'll select here, menu font, okay? And then you get this specific font. You get a specific font. Give OK. Reset to default means it will go back to what Gretel is using. So you give OK. And then it will give you all the fonts available. So usually we go with Times New Roman. You can select it to regular font size 12. Okay. So or if you are just practicing, you can use whichever font you want. And then you give OK. So what did we do? We went to tools, preferences, menu font, and then you selected a specific font. Then you selected Times New Roman. Okay, so you have all the fonts available. You can use that. Fine. Okay, so now we know, you have seen how to change the font. You have seen how to edit the attributes. We'll see how to edit the values. Okay. Select the variable, right click, and then you have edit values. Select the variable, right click, and then you have edit values. So sometimes there may be certain errors in the values after you have entered. You want to correct it. So you find that you can go here, double click, and then you can edit. Okay, right? So select the variable, right click, edit. Okay. You can also do this editing by going to data, and then edit values, and then edit values. Okay, right? Going to data and then edit values. Okay. Yes. So we have seen how to what is that? Bring a file, how to open a file, and then we have seen how to edit attribute, edit values, and also you can change the font. Okay, now I hope all of you have downloaded that. I'll just stop today with just how to plot a graph. Tomorrow we'll start off with that, how to edit the graph. Okay, so all that we'll be doing, and we'll go in for stationarity tomorrow. And in the meantime, we'll see if we can share the that file which I want to share with you. Okay, so very simple how we're going to use the graph. Okay, so if it is a single graph, there are two ways in which you can do that. Okay, two ways in which you can do that, or we'll plot both together. You select both the variables. How do you select it? Left click, drag, go to view, okay, and then you can have multiple graphs time series, okay. So it's already there, and then give OK, So what did we do? You selected both, went to view, multiple graphs, time series, and then you'll have to give OK. We could also do that with the right click. And then time series plot. Right click, time series plot. Then it'll ask you whether you want it as separate small graphs or you want it on a single graph. So you can choose which option you want, just to observe whether they're moving together or not, because for co-integration we need that. You can select on a single graph and then give OK, and then give OK, and then give OK. Fine. So what did we do? You selected the data, you selected the variables, and then you did right click and selected time series plot, and then you put it on a single graph, and then you gave OK. So you've got the graphs. Tomorrow I'll take how to edit the graphs, and then all those things. We'll be taking it tomorrow. Okay. So that file, don't worry. So today you just get accustomed to it. See if you can experiment something with Gretel using the software. So how you can use the Gretel software, right? Yeah. Usha ma'am, there are two different series, so don't worry, it will be different. Okay, you mean the layout of the graphs? No problem. The purpose of each are different, so we'll be taking it according to the test that we're going to use. Don't worry. So Vijay sir, thank you. Any questions are there? Don't worry, you will not have any questions because we just started. So tomorrow, please be on time. So exactly at 5:30, I'll start off with. We'll start off with the session. So that today we had a delay because we were waiting for our chief guest. It's not a problem. Tomorrow, please be on time so that we'll be able to start off on time. Sir, I can't see Gujarati in my list after downloading. So Amita ma'am, can you try it once again? You can put the data in. You can put it in Google as Gujarati_data, Gujarati_data.exe. So you'll find the file in that source forge, or you'll find the link at the bottom as data for Gretel. Okay, Ranjit Kumar sir, the link is there on top in case you missed that. Let me see if I can put the link once again. So Jahir sir has put it there. So Ebenezer sir and Ranjit sir, can you just click on that? It'll take you to a Gretel page with data. And in that, when you scroll down, you would find Gujarati data of various books. So I want you to install the data for Gujarati. We'll be using that for tomorrow's sessions and also for the day after tomorrow's session. So I want you to just download that. Amita ma'am, can you try it once again, installing that? Do you have, organizers? So can we wind up for the day?
Yes. Good evening and warm greetings to each and everyone present on this forum. I am Dr. Raju V, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics, and I'm here to propose the vote of thanks for today's faculty development program on econometrics for time series analysis. I'm really grateful for having given the chance to extend a vote of thanks to everyone present here. First of all, I thank our principal, Reverend Father Dr. Alison George, for providing encouragement and inspiring us to do our best, without whose support this event would not have been possible. Again, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to Dr. Aloysius Edward, Dean, Department of Commerce, Management and Economics, for his support in conducting this event. Further, I would like to thank our resource persons of the day, Dr. Nelson Justin Michael, Director, Center for Research, Christianity College, and Dr. Jyoti Manoj, Associate Professor, Department of Statistics, Christianity College, for their enlightening us with their knowledge. Today's lecture was full of knowledge and informative things. It gave deep insights into the concepts and also revealed some interesting facts of econometrics. I am pretty sure that the precious knowledge that resource persons gave us will definitely help us in our studies and, of course, future. Again, I would like to thank Dr. Vinoda Devi, Coordinator, Department of Economics, Christianity College, for her continuous support and guidance in conducting this event. Again, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Professor Madhukumar, Coordinator, Department of Commerce, Fiji, and faculty members for their active participation in this event. Further, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to all the participants from Christianity College, of course, and also from various academic institutions across the nation for your presence, precious presence and active participation in this FDP, Faculty Development Program on Econometrics for Time Series Analysis. Again, I would like to also extend my sincere thanks to the technical team for their support in conducting this FTP and for the attention of the participants. Tomorrow's topic for the discussion as per schedule is stationarity of time series, and the resource person could be Dr. Nelson Justin Michael. And tomorrow, at 5:30 p.m. sharp, program will be commencing. Once again, thank you all of you. I remain. Thank you. Now, host can end the session.
Thank you, sir.